Hello everybody, it's John Johnston, CornNation. I thought I'd do a trip report, kind of a road trip report before I leave Lincoln here. I haven't gotten out much over the last 2 years. I suppose a lot of you are the same with this pandemic now being, pretty much over. I really didn't go a lot of places, and it was nice to get down here for the spring game. I got down here last year as a photographer. This year I didn't get credentialed. And I sat up in the stands for the first time since the Northwestern game where we threw that Hail Mary. It was the last time I was in the stands at Memorial Stadium, and it was really nice, and I enjoyed it. You can actually see what's going on from in the stands, whereas when you're down on the field, there's just a lot of really huge people running around all the place, and you're staring down the camera lens, and you get a different feel for the action. You get a really up close feel for, but not a big picture view of what's going on. And I did the short little reaction video yesterday about the spring game. I noticed that, looking across the social media landscape, there's a lot of people that are like, you can't evaluate a scrimmage, which is true. You can't really take a lot from this, which is true. There were a lot of guys out. That's true also. But honestly, it looked like they practiced 3 times before they went out there, and at least in the first half. And I realize it's 2-hand touch or 1-hand touch, and you can't do much with that. But I hope they look a lot more polished in the fall. It's clear they got crap tons of work to do on offense. I saw people saying, what did you expect when, the new coaching staff only has 14 practices with them? There's a certain truth in that, but it's still football. You know what I mean? Your offensive line stuff isn't it's not like you go to Algeria and they're playing completely different football there, and it's, I got to learn how Algeria plays offensive line. I don't know if Algeria plays football, but I'm sure that probably it's not. You get the point, right? But I don't want to be too negative about this, because I know spring, if you're too negative about Nebraska football, everybody poops themselves and then they hate you. And I guess the biggest thing that I found this weekend is when I talked to people, and this is really why I came here, was kind of get the pulse of Husker Nation. Get that idea of what was going on in the minds of Husker fans. I could sugarcoat this, but I didn't really find as many Scott Frost supporters as I thought I would. I see a lot of those in the Facebook groups for Husker people. They get really angry at people when they say anything negative about Frost. But I was surprised at the number of people I directly asked. What are you looking for? What do you want to see? What do you think of Frost? Those questions. By and large, it was not overjoyed. It wasn't really positive. It was more like there were a lot of people who didn't care for Frost. There were a lot of people probably probably I'd say a good majority of us are in the same position where we're kind of like in wait and see mode. And I think that there were 54,000 fans of the spring game, and I think that's tremendous. And when I asked people why they were there, what they were there to see, a lot of them were there because it was a social event, and that makes sense. There were a lot of kids. One lady said she was there to meet an old friend that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. That's a good idea. Another person was there to find her sister, and they were going to go together as a family with their dad. That's kind of cool. Like I said, a lot of little kids. I can't help the feeling right now we're in kind of a precarious position with Nebraska football, and I hope everybody. I would love to hear your feedback on this. Obviously, we have the whole sellout streak. Well, forget that. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about, and I talked to somebody about this. What I'm worried about is this: if Nebraska doesn't play good football this fall, the problem isn't going to be that the sellout streak ends. The problem is going to be that Nebraska fans find something else to do. And there's a lot of other things to do. And once people find out something else to do that they enjoy, it's really hard to get them back. Because you can always make it seem, it's like before I got in the car to come down here. Do I really want to drive all that way just for a scrimmage? do I really want to make the effort to do this stuff? Because it's a little exhausting for me, more than probably a lot of people. But I just, right now, we really need this season. And it really needs to be a good season. And we're now officially, after the spring game is over, we're into the football off season, which is a whole new different world of void of content mostly, except if bad things happen, like people get arrested or you lose players to the transfer portal that you don't want to see gone. I am kind of questioning how many videos I really do during the off season. I thought about doing some Nebraska history stuff because, I've studied a lot of that stuff. And I would like any feedback about content you guys would like to see. Lincoln, I really, I went to school 7 years here, mashing a 4-year degree into 7 years because I worked hard at college. And I learned a lot here, and it's a place that is a really big place in my heart. It's why I run CornNation, why I spend a lot of time with Nebraska obsession. But it's a beautiful place to be. It's a really nice town. The Haymarket area is just tremendous. I went to Laszlo's, excellent food. I went to Leadbelly's after the game. We went to the baseball game after and, watched us lose to Rutgers, which was, I was here last year for a series and we got swept by Rutgers for the first time since 2009. And then I went to the game yesterday and it was really a fun experience. If you haven't gone to the Nebraska baseball Haymarket Park, the heckling was grade A, top notch. I miss that about Nebraska baseball crowds, and I wish I could get out to those more often. So regardless how the team does, it's a fun environment. It's a fun place to go. And then after that, we left and we went down to the Haymarket area for dinner, went to Leadbelly's. I had their mac and cheese with the jalapenos and portobello mushrooms. My God, it was excellent. It was really good. And it was so active down the Haymarket. I was kind of surprised that many people were down there for the spring game and they stuck around. Or was it always like that? And then there was people with their little loud motorcycles and one guy with an extremely loud car because, he was making up for something, I think, but whatever. Then there was a guy down there preaching about God, and he sounded like he had a big pillow over his speaker and you couldn't understand a damn thing he said. But it was fun. And that was the point. That was the point of the whole weekend, really, is to come down here and have fun, reconnect with some people, see my sister, at the hotel I'm staying at. They did a good job at the service. The breakfasts were pretty good. And, they're a little nosy with the questions. So I think for my sister's hotel, I'm probably going to have to give her a 4 out of 5 on Yelp. She's probably not going to get the whole 5 just because, come on, you always got to extort something or you could do better. But overall, I'm glad I came. It's a beautiful place, Lincoln, Nebraska. I always get shit from people about, it's this little town and nothing's going on here. Okay, my rotten son says that a lot. There is a lot going on here, I think. There's one place I haven't been in many years that I'd really like to get to again. It's the Zoo Bar. But other than that, great weekend. We got a ways to go now before the football season starts, or Big Ten Media Days in late July, and then spring or fall practice in August. And we'll keep doing the podcast. If there's other content that you want to see, let me know, like I said. On to the young guy that walked up to me at the baseball game and introduced himself and said he follows me. Thank you very much. I asked him what he thought of me in person. He said, "You are considerably more handsome in person." That was a great response. Thank you for that. It was hilarious. It kind of made my weekend because there weren't a lot of people who knew I was, and that's kind of it's pretty much probably how it should be. But I think that's it for now. Now I got to get in a car and drive all the way back to Minnesota. You guys take care of yourselves, and we'll see what happens. Go Big Red.